Good morning, guys, and welcome back to today's session. So, for today's class, I'm going to be taking you guys through the basics of prototyping in Figma. So, essentially, what prototyping entails and how beneficial prototyping is to you as a designer and to the client whom you are working with or the company in which you are working. Okay, so let's jump straight right into it. Yeah, so prototyping. Okay, so you can think of prototyping as essentially giving life to your static designs. Okay, so you see, after you've ideated, right, you've identified your target audience, you've been able to come up with a very wonderful or brilliant solution that you feel you can develop to cater for the needs of users, right? You realize that the designs you make in your Figma file are static. So you can think of prototyping as giving life to your designs. Now, you essentially connect certain elements on your artboards to certain elements on different artboards to make it interactive, okay, so that your users or your clients or your stakeholders can interact with the product and then have a feel of how the product runs, okay. So we can think of prototyping as even the backbone of user experience, okay, because a very good prototype will be able to give your users a very wonderful experience. So when they are interacting with the product or when they are using the product, they are actually at ease or they feel, very cool using the app. Yeah. So I'm going to be taking you guys to, like I said earlier, the very basics of prototyping. And then next week we can hopefully jump into certain advanced tips and tricks. Yeah, so let's get started. See you. So I think prior to our initial class, during our components class, I made a couple of designs which I'm going to be using as our prototype today. Okay, but then before I jump into this, let me just demonstrate something very little to you. So, like I said, these designs of ours are static. You can't really interact with any of them yet because, like I said, we've not given life to them. So, let me show you guys what prototyping basically entails. Okay, so there are a couple of functionalities you can do with prototypes. Okay, so there's the clicking effects, there's the hovering effect. So like I said, today is going to be a very basic session, so I'm going to walk you guys through it. So I'll create an artboard of size as usual 1080 by 1080, and then I'm going to create a shape. Okay, so a random shape like this. Okay, so this is a rectangle, obviously. So yeah, so I'm going to show you guys should I see the standard way of prototyping and then probably the layman's way of prototyping. Okay, so let me do this shortly and duplicate this, right? So now I'm going to reduce the height of my rectangle to something like this. Now let's give this a color of, I don't know if you guys like purple, but I think purple is a pretty cool color. So yeah, and then let's give this a color of probably a yellow. Yeah, so essentially, like I said, this design, when I preview it over here, so yeah, I forgot to mention, you preview your prototypes by hitting on this play button over here, this one. So when I click on this, it comes like this. So you see, I can't really interact with any of my elements on this artboard. So I go back and then I switch to my prototype panel. Now if you like keyboard shortcuts like me, you can just hit Shift E on your keyboard and it shifts to the prototype panel. Now you can see that when you switch to the prototype panel, there are these dots that appear on the four sides of your elements. Okay, when you go back to the design panel, you see you have different stuff appearing. Yeah, great. So let's go back to our prototype panel, and then now we can, like I said, we link this artboard to this one, and then so you can see this line, this connecting line. I mean most famous designers call it is it interaction noodles. Yeah, I don't know why they gave it that weird name, but yeah, interaction noodles like Indomie noodles. And and but you can probably see design webs or something, but yeah, these are like just lines or links connecting your your assets, okay, in your design file. So you can see over here we have the ability to select what we want. So now what we are telling Figma is when I click on this element, it should lead me to this screen. Now you can select on drag. So when I drag this element, it should lead me to this screen. You can click hovering. When I hover over this element, it should take me to this screen. When I press on this for long, this element, it should lead me to this screen. Or if you would want to use a key or a trigger on your keyboard, you can select this as well. Now we are going to go with the on click. Okay, so on click, so you can see from, let me just, to make it a little bit intuitive, let me just say start and then end. So great. So we've linked this. You can see we are navigating to the end. Now with our animations, there's instant means once I click it, I don't want any catcher, I don't want any styles, just go to the screen I want. There's dissolve. When you click on dissolve, this element will overlay this element for a couple of milliseconds. When you click on smart animate, which I would advise you to mostly go with, yeah, so let's click on smart animate, and then let's do something like slow, just so you guys can see the interaction very well. Now you come back here, and when I click on this, where should it take me? So when I click on this, it should take me back to my artboard. So you can see when I click on this, it navigates to start, which is this artboard. Yeah, so let's check out our prototype and see. Click the play button. Now I'm going to click on this, and you can see our designs are already coming to life. Now one interesting thing you can do as well is a second. So I'm going to hide some elements over here, like probably a star. Okay, I'm going to hide a star over here. Yeah, the Ghana black stars or something. Then I'm going to have probably an ellipse, somewhere here. So let me have the ellipse. Let me center this. So you can check this out and follow closely. So let me name this. Okay, it's already named ellipse 1, and this is a star 1. So we're prototyping, right? Your layers have to, should I use the word correlate? They have to match. So let's say if I want this star, okay, to be animated on this screen as well, the name of this star in my layers panel should be star 1. I can't name this star 1 and then come and name this star 2 and then expect them to work. Okay, so if let's say I name this thing maybe something weird like contemporary, is that it? Yes. When I animate this, when I animate these two artboards, this section is not going to recognize this section because the name has changed. Okay, so let's go back to our star 1. So we have star 1 here, we have star 1 here. Now check this out. I'm going to rotate my star a little bit like this. Okay, so now let me decrease this one. Yeah. So I've rotated my star, and now I'm going to make my star very big over here. So now my star is very big like this. So with this one as well, let me think of an animation. So yeah, I'm going to reduce the width of my is it ellipse here? Good. My ellipse a little bit. Okay, and then when I copy and bring my ellipse here, I'm going to enlarge it. Okay, yeah, so let me give these guys some colors and explain shortly. So this is star, this ellipse is blue, but when it comes here it changes to, I need the color, guys. Yeah, it changes to green, then this now changes to blue. Yeah, so you go back to your prototype panel, I click on the star, and then I drag it to this artboard, smart animate once again, and then let me try and drag this as well. So when I come back and then I click play, I click on this. Okay, I didn't link it backwards, so let's link this back. Let's link this back. Yeah, so I'm showing you guys the layman's way of doing the prototyping. So I mean, if you prefer to go this way, as you mature in your design career, you are going to be using components for majority of your prototypes. So you can see what we had initially as our static designs have now been given life and now can be interacted with. Okay, so yeah, you can play around with the concept of prototypes and see how best you can go about them. Now let me show you guys a much more interesting way of making prototypes. So you see, imagine if I had to make prototypes for over 3,000 assets on my artboard. I would have to duplicate the screens one by one, but that is not an effective way to go about things. So you can just duplicate your artboard like this, and then you create your components. I think I've taught you guys how to create components. So you create your components and then you add a variant. So let me extend this a little bit. Yeah, so I'm going to be using the Ghanaian colors. So let's have, this is a red, so something red, and then we have gold, right? Then gold, yeah, and then green, just something guys can relate with. Yeah, and so yeah, so we have these over here. So I'm going to be linking them shortly so you guys can see. Let me just increase it so you can see the design points. So I switch back to my prototype panel by pressing Shift E or by clicking on this button. Now I can drag this to this. So when I click on red, it should change to my second variant, which is yellow. In fact, let me just name these so you guys don't get confused. So variant 2 is yellow. 2 else. Okay, this is now green. Perfect. So let's go back. When I link this, you can see when I click on red, it should take me to yellow. Smart animate slow. So let me make it more interesting by reducing the size. And then when I click on yellow, it should lead me to green, and then green should be a little bit wider. Yeah, so click on this, and then so yeah, when I click on green, it should take me back to red, and then the whole process should start again. So now let me delete this, create a new artboard of size 1080 by 1080. Now you can go to your assets panel. You can see the red has been created, so I drag it, bring it to my artboard. I click on this, I click on play. So I click on it, it takes me to yellow. I click on this, it takes me to green, red, gold, green. You play around with it however you see fit. Yeah, so that is like one of the so this is like how best you should be going about making your prototypes. I mean, setting interactive elements on your artboard. So I'm going to be demonstrating this using the initial websites that we designed. Okay, so you can see that on this design there were 3 interactive components that were so when I click on this particular button, it should lead me to this screen. When I click on this, it should lead me to this guy right here. So I'm sure you guys already get where this is going, so I'm not going to stress much. So let's just click on this, go to our prototypes panel. No, in fact, I now recall we created our main component. Okay, so let's go to our main component, which is this, and now we can connect the dots from here. We don't have to be connecting the artboards anymore. So prototyping is essentially you are giving your users an interactive flow, okay, of whichever static designs you've made in your Figma file. You see, all these elements are static. You can't really interact with them. I mean, when I press this a second, yeah, so see, I can't really interact with any of these things when I click on them. Now, even when I click on these, you can see nothing is happening. But when I come here and then I begin to connect my dots, so I go back to my prototypes panel, I click on this, I drag it to this. So on click, change to smiling woman. I think I want my animation to be okay, yeah, slow. I click on this, I connect it to the guy, and then I click on this, I send it back to us pretty lady over here. So yeah, so now when we preview our design, give me a second. Yeah, so you can see our designs have been given life. They can now be interacted with. So when you are presenting to your clients, probably on a Zoom call or something, I mean, I would advise you to go the extra mile. You shouldn't just make your pretty designs in Figma and then leave it as it is. You will have to connect the dots or connect your interaction lines and then give your users or your clients a feel of what you've been able to design. So we preview our prototype. When I click on this, see it changes to the woman. When I click on the guy, when I click on this guy, shoot in. So the reason why I'm having trouble connecting them is because I just remember in the previous class I didn't replace this woman's image with the others. So let me just do that shortly. So smiling woman, let me just connect the dots. Okay, so we have something to interact with. Lead me here. In fact, lead me here. And yeah, so we preview our design and click here. So yeah, I mean, get the picture. So we've essentially been able to add a little bit of life to our design. Now I'm going to be designing a new page and then I'll prototype that shortly. So give me a second, let me show you guys. Great. So this is the CarryWise website which I used in my components class last week. So you can see that now I want my page to be interactive. I would have designed the whole home page, but that is going to take some time. So I'm going to, so you see when you click on the login button, it takes you to a different page. You can go back. Now when I click on sign up for free, it takes me to a particular page. So you see, essentially we are going to be making our design interactive so that when we are presenting to the clients, okay, so you've been able to make a very wonderful design, then we are presenting, okay, so now when I click on this, it does this. When I do this, it does this. Yeah, so you can have something to talk about when you are presenting to your clients or to your stakeholders or whoever you are presenting to. Now you can also share a link to this prototype with your target audience for them to interact with it and give you feedback. So let me quickly do this simple screen. Which one should I do? Okay, so I think I'm going to be doing this so you guys can see. So when you click on the a second. Yeah, so when you click on the button, the login button, this is where it's supposed to take you to. So when you come to our Figma file, currently when I click on the login button, it's now in void. It does not take me anywhere. Anywhere. Okay, so now let's give life to this button. So we come here, let's duplicate this. I mean, once again, make good use of the Chrome extensions you installed. So we check the size of this, it says 48. Check the size of this, it says 25. So we come back to our design. So this was a 48. 48. So let me just drag this here. So it says jump right back in, sign in to continue. Back in, and this was sign in to continue. And the size of this was 25. So 25, and yeah, I didn't have any email addresses. Okay, so somewhere here. So let me check this out and see what we have. So sign in to continue is a little bit thicker. So yeah, you try your possible best to replicate the same thing. So let's go with semi bold, medium, and yeah. So jump right back in. So I will need a frame. So on this screen we don't have our login and stuff, so let's take these out. And even the color of our page is a little bit grayish, so we give that vibe as well. So I'm going to pick that color from this so you can watch closely. And yeah, something, yeah. So I mean, you'll be able to check with your eye, and then you come and get the correct color. So this as well. And because my image was a PNG I downloaded from the website, it has a white background. I can remove it, but another day. So jump right back in. So yeah, we create a frame. So you check your grids. You create your frame. Fill it with a white color. It has a border radius of about 12. Let's do something 18. It has a shadow effect. So one trick I mostly use for shadows is when you click on this effect, you can see there's drop shadow, there's layer blur and all, but you're going to be using drop shadows. So always the for my y values, let's say if I have a y value of, let's say, 20, my blur is most of the times twice the number of my y value plus 5. So 20 times 2, 40, and then we have something 45. Then I come and then I reduce the opacity over here to make it a lot more cleaner. Yeah, so I have a Sean Paul and then password. So we have text fields basically. So this one says email address. In fact, let me clear this. That's how it looks. Okay, yeah. So we have, I think I've already made provision for this one. Let's not stress. Yeah. So you see, that is one good thing about making components, because you can now reuse them in your designs. Now this, I'll give it a little bit of height, so 60. 20. So email address, and then we have password. Password. So let me check the size of these. Okay, 13. Password. New user create accounts. This should be semi-bold. So we'll come to the prototype shortly. Let's finish with this design. Let's create accounts. Sorry. So the new user is grayed out. So you can just select this, and then you can gray it out over here however you want to. So you can use that create account, and then once again, like I said, we've already created our button. So I mean, if you followed the previous class, it should be a work in the back for you. So sign in, and just align this to this, like this. Okay, so I'm not going to be doing the whole designs. I mean, these tiny little bits. Yeah, stay for another day. So you can see the password as well. We have an icon in it. You know how to embed icons. So this has to be a little bit bigger to make it look nicer. And I would have centered align this. So yeah. Make this bold, and let's preview our design. So this is how our design is looking now. Fit it with, okay. Yeah, so jump, let's just make it the same, so it makes sense. Okay, so now we want to should I say transition from this screen to this screen, because we've activated our login button. Okay, so when we come here to our prototype panel, we click on this login button, and then we drag it and connect it to this screen. So now you can see that on click of this, it should take me to this screen. Okay, now which type of animation do I want? Do I want instant? Let me show you guys what the instant will do. So you know what, let me click on sign in, and then when I sign in, it should take me back so you guys can get the picture. So when I come here and I click on this, I don't know why it keeps. Yeah, so you see when we click on any empty space on your artboard, the sections that are interactable will be highlighted. So the login, when I click on login, you see it was an instant transition. But if I should go with something like smart animate, and then I go with slow, and then I click on login, now you can see some capture was done over there. Now if I do same for this smart animate, let's say gentle, yeah, so this is how it's it's done. Now I'm going to be showing you guys how to create hover effects for whichever elements that you have. So let's say now I don't want to click on this button for it to transition to yellow. Okay, you can just select the connecting line, and then instead of on click you can do while hovering. So then while I'm hovering on red, it should always transition to yellow. So when I come back here and then I preview this, so you see whenever I bring my mouse here, it hovers and then it transitions to yellow. Now let me show you how you can do that with buttons. So like I said, today is going to be just the basics of prototyping, so you guys can get a fair idea of how prototypes are done in Figma and how you can use it in your designs. So let's create a frame, any random size, and then on this frame I'm going to create a button like I don't know, I need a random word, vortex. Yeah, so I create vortex. Let me center align this. Yeah, so let me fill this in purple and my text white. Then I'm going to give it some horizontal padding of, let's say, 50 is too small, so 90, and then I'm going to give it 70. Right, so let me run my corners a little bit, like say 12. No, 12 is too little. 13, I can't even see because of the size of the text. So let's make this 19. Yeah, 19 makes sense. So now I'm going to create a component, okay, out of this. Initially, what the layman or the junior designer will do is that he will click on this, okay, this, and then he go to his prototype panel, then you now drag and drop here, then you see while hovering, then now I change this button to the color of the button to, let's see, yeah, I think this is turquoise or something. Yeah, I'm sure the ladies can do a better job at guessing colors. Now you shift to this and then you drag backwards. So yeah, so while hovering, so when I click on this, second, let me fit to it. So whenever I hover over my button, you see it changes color to this. But imagine if you had to do this for multiple buttons, then you would have to now duplicate every screen, and no, that's not the right way to go. So Control Z, let me undo, and yeah, so simply create a component for this button you have over here by clicking on this button. Then you create variants. So variants are essentially different variations of your main component. So now I feel like I want to now change this to let's say the color we just had. So that was, I think, turquoise. Nope. Yeah, so I feel like when I hover over this button, so you see on certain interactive websites, right, whenever you hover over certain buttons, you can see that the icons slide out. Okay, so I'm going to show you how you can do that in a bit. So let's use Iconify, and then let me look for something like drink. Yeah, never mind. So let me copy and then paste this here. Let me increase the size so it makes sense. Yeah, so vortex, and then I color this white. Let me increase the spacing between these guys a little bit. Okay, So yeah, so now I have my vortex button over here. Now let me create a variant for this. Surely. So yeah, so I can turn off this asset over here by pressing has been selected. Yeah, so by selecting this I button, so I can just turn it on or off. I showed you guys how to do that using components the other day, so I'm not going to go over it. You can probably watch last week's video and then you get it. So now let's just turn this off for now, and let's change this button to yeah, so let's change the color to, I still like this color a lot. Yeah, let's change it to this, and then we can create a new variant. Like, say when I click on this, right, it should change to, so this drink should change to something else, like a wine or something. So Control X, paste this here. So let me color this white, and then so I'm doing a lot of variations just so you guys can get the picture. Yeah, so this should go to yellow, and then this should say something like rice and stew. I don't know who's hungry, but you just rice. Yeah, so let's connect this. So we see now we no longer want to click on this button to lead to this. We now want to hover. So while hovering, you can do drag. So let me show how the drag will work. So let's go back. So let me paste this over here. Center. Let me enlargen it a little bit. Yeah, so let me preview my prototype over here. Photo screen. So you see for the on drag, I know you can't probably see the drag, but I dragged my screen and then that change was made. So let me just go to while hovering. Yeah, while, so you can also do while pressing. Okay, so let me preview this. So let's restart this flow. Come on. Okay, so while I'm pressing, a second, I think my network is down, so the prototype is not responding. Let's just do while hovering. Right, so while hovering, I want it to lead to this, and then when I click on this, I want it to change to rise. Okay, so gentle, and then when I click on rise, I want it to take me back to vortex. So on click on rise, change to default is vortex. So let me preview my prototype once again. So you can see when I hover over my vortex, I don't know, give me a minute. Okay, I think the artboard is too large, so 1080. Oh, I see, 1080. Okay, so yeah, let me preview. Great. So now when I hover over vortex, you can see, because initially my vortex my coffee cup was heading over here, and then over here I turned it on, and then over here I changed it to rice. So I hover over this, I click on this, it changes to rice. When I click on rice, it changes to vortex. When I hover over vortex, it pops up, changes to rice. So you get the whole idea. You are essentially trying to communicate an interaction of your designs to your stakeholders or to your target audience. So now whenever I want to reuse the vortex rise asset in my designs, So let's say now, I want to bring this button on this screen. Okay, so let me just reduce the size. Okay, let me just put it at any random place. Now when I preview this, okay, I can just hover over it. When I click on it, it takes me to right. When I hover over right, it takes me to vertex. Hover. So this is while hovering, on click, while hovering. So yeah, you are getting the whole picture. So you can basically link a lot of your designs using prototypes, and then you can share them with your stakeholders to interact with. So and I think another thing I wanted to show you guys. So yeah, so you see create account. Okay, so create account also takes you to a different page. So we can do that also by doing this. So we duplicate it. Let's just do something very quick. And sorry, so it says start your investment journey and blah blah blah. So let me work on that surely. I actually want this session to be very brief. I don't want it to exceed an hour. Yeah, the size of the video will be very large, and I know you guys also get tired hearing my voice. So shift G, align to grid, delete this. Now it says start your investment journey. Start your investment journey. Okay, so the your is here. Sweet. And yeah, email address. So I mean, you get a picture, right? You can download these assets if you want. That's if you want to replicate this screen. Now email address, I don't have to stress. I just come here, I drag my email address here, and just increase the size, then horizontal padding to like 30. Your email address, yeah, so you extend it a little bit here, and then got an account, sign in. Let me just use this. Trying to work as fast as possible. So got an account. Currently thinking of an assignment to give you guys for this prototype. It's going to be interesting. And then we have our button. Okay. So increase the size. Okay. So this is a little bit bluish. So yeah, essentially. So now we want to link this screen. This screen to this, because this is the screen for signing in. Okay, when a user already has an account, and then when a user wants to create an account, this is the screen he has to use. So let's do that shortly. So we go to our prototype panel, and then we drag the interaction line or interaction noodle to this, and then so on click of creating of an account, it should lead me to this screen. How do I want my animation? Gentle, ease in and out. You can explore, okay, and then see which one works best for you. And then you can go to, so you can now link this to this screen as well. Okay, link this screen as well. So I think in next week's session, I'm going to show you guys how you can make like some really cool animations. Okay, so yeah, please bear with me. Today is just the basics, and yeah, try and get 13 or 2 and try and start prototyping your designs. Okay, we can later on make them way cooler. So yeah, so when I come to this screen, when I preview this screen, let's name this screen sign in. Okay, and then this sign up. Perfect. So preview, fit to it. So when I click on create an account, you see it has changed to start your investment. Like, go to get an account, sign in. It takes me back to my sign in page. So now you are interacting with your product. There's Vortec, there's login, there's all the catcher you want to do. So yeah, guys, I think that brings us to the end of today's session. I really tried my possible best not to exceed an hour. So in next week's class, we are going to have a more advanced session on prototyping with Figma. So I do hope you've learned a thing or two, and feel free to try your hands, practice more on this. On this particular subject matter, and yeah, you are going to get great at designing in a couple of days. That's a lie, but yeah, just keep practicing. Yeah, so thank you guys for making time to watch the video to this very latter part, and I look forward to checking out really cool designs and prototypes in your Figma files. Do have a wonderful day, and yeah, thank you.